everyone. Welcome to Table Talks number 3.
Welcome.
3.
Today we got Brian with us,
Yay.
and we're going to be talking about the topic of love,
Yeah.
ahavah, in the Shema.
Yeah. So we are doing the Shema series. And I wanted to say thank you if you are listening to this and this is your third time listening to it.
Yeah.
That means you have listened to the first one and the second one.
Nandri. Terima kasih.
We appreciate you because you help motivate us to keep doing this so that we know like, hey, people are actually listening to it. So thank you.
Yep.
We are going to be talking about God's love
Yep.
specifically
Yeah.
because love God. That's the part that we're talking about in the Shema.
Yep.
Yeah. So at LG, we have been talking about God's love.
Yep.
We talk about how God shows love just because He wants to love.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's not just a feeling, but it's backed up with His actions. He always says to the Israelites that God did this, and God did this because of His love for you.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what Moses told the Israelites.
Yes.
Interesting how a lot of stuff in the Shema always has, how a lot of the things in the Shema have like two sides to the same thing. You know, like how
Yeah.
Shema is listen and obey or listen and do,
Yeah.
right? And love is both a feeling and an action, right? So today we got Brian with us.
Yeah.
What
We're
up,
gonna
guys?
we're gonna get him to introduce himself before we
Yes.
asking some questions about
Okay.
love.
Introduce myself. So introducing. Okay, never mind. Forget about that. So my name is Brian. I'm 19 this year. So I'm currently studying in Sunway University. So I'm leading E3 and Doxa, 2 life groups currently. So that's all you need to know about me. If you want to know more about me, feel free to message me.
Okay.
Okay. It's some advertisement or something. But yeah, so we have chosen Brian to do the podcast because he has some interesting stories to tell today.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So first thing we want to find out, right? Since
Yeah.
we said love is both a feeling and an action. Brian, when you were younger or from your younger days until like now, have you seen personally in your own life how you grow to understand the difference between the two sides of that same
So it's okay. I
aspect?
got your question.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. So, of course, definitely there is. And I remember how when I was young, right? Like, I don't think anyone actually knows what love is when you were really young. Like, probably until a certain age, I guess, right? Like, maybe at least like primary school, only like you understand like, maybe you don't understand, but at least you started to know like, there's this thing called love.
You recognize the
You
feeling a bit
recognize
more.
the feeling. Yes, the feeling. Yeah, like specifically the feeling only. I would say that's why I won't say we understand what's love, but we know we started to have this came in contact with love. Yeah, right. So, I remember when I was young, like I would take my siblings as an example lah. So when I was young, right, like we were very close. I remember we always just play together and all. So love is always just a feeling to me. I would say when I was like all the way until let's say high school, about Form 2, Form 3 around there. So before that, I always think love is just a feeling. So if I feel like it, I love lah. Or more like, when I am with this person, I feel something special. Then, that's love to me. So that's before, and how it changed. It slowly changed to now. Of course, after that, I understood love is a choice. You know, Joyce always says that, right? Joyce's quote. Joyce 2020, love is a choice. No lah, that's probably a few years ago she started saying that. Okay. So yeah, that's when I think I transitioned there around when I was 14, 15, when I started to really met this bunch of people here, and we really started to learn more about God and all. And I think that's when we truly understand love. Because, like now that we learn from previous sharing, remember, like we said, God himself is the source of love. So he's the only source. Source, okay.
Source, not sauce.
Source. So yeah, he's the only source, like when I was sharing to my life group members, I think this is a very important point today, because we need to understand he is the only source and there are no other ways for you to love. Right.
We'll get into that a bit more later on.
Yeah.
We can talk a bit more about that. But before we go there, were there some things that happened that helped you understand love as a feeling and also as an action? Are there things that happen?
Things that happen.
Yeah.
I guess, like what I say, it wasn't like a significant change. Like, suddenly something happened and I'm like, okay, now I know love. Then I would just love in a different way. But it slowly transitioned. But one thing I remember is, how I mentioned just now, I was very close with my siblings and all. So when I was in primary school, right, I remember about standard 4, standard 5, that's when I like met bad influence like Joel. No lah. I met Joel I met Joel when I was standard 4, standard 5, but he wasn't a bad influence. Okay, in fact, he was the one that invited me to the church. So yeah, thank God for him, bro. Okay, anyway, rats. Where was I?
Bad influence.
Bad influence. Yeah. So right, like I remember that was the time when I actually suddenly that was the first time ever. In fact, I felt like shameful to love my siblings because I was very close. Remember, so when these people came in to my life, then I remember there was once like in my school, like I went to find my siblings to probably pass them something or what lah. Then they actually laughed at me. Then I felt weird lah, like, this actually something that I need to hide, it's not nice. So the feeling changed, you see, which is why from that time onwards, I actually I want, because I valued the friends a lot, probably in that time, still young, So yeah, like I decided to, not love not care about my siblings so much. So, that's a feeling, you see, like when I see love as a feeling, when I felt not comfortable, it's something that I feel something not nice, then I will stop loving. So yeah.
You felt like you didn't understand that love was both feeling and action, but you felt like you loved your two sisters a lot. But when your friends laughed at you, opposing feeling, which is shame, is it? That they laughed at you, came into conflict with that feeling of loving your siblings. So you, like, that love that you showed them disappeared, so to speak, because you valued your friends more.
Yeah,
right?
can put it that way. Yeah.
Oh. So like in the beginning, love was just mostly a feeling, and whenever it was comfortable for you to do, like whenever it doesn't bring you shame or if people don't laugh at you, right? And then so over the years, you're saying when you finally came to church, and that's when you came to Ablaze, right? That's when you knew God, and God ultimate love for you was to sacrifice his son. And how did you feel knowing that his act of love was and big action was a choice for you?
How did I feel?
Right, how was it for you?
So right, actually, the thing is, right, I was born in a Christian family, so since young I always go to church also. So all this while I know like in my head, like, Jesus died for my sins, okay? But it's just like, like this kind of feeling, okay, cool, interesting, that's it. So it stops there. Then I didn't really understand. Now that I think back, right, I guess the reason why, like, it's just something like, cool, interesting, like, this guy died for me, okay, so I will, I will enter this religion, like, Christian, okay, I'll be a Christian since he died for me. And of course also my parents brought me like all kind of reasons when I was young. So now that I think of it, right, remember how in the sharing I think we mentioned about love is only significant when you recognize the danger.
Yeah.
Yeah, something
The
like that.
sacrifice
Right?
is only significant.
Yeah,
when you
sacrifice
recognize
only
the danger.
significant. Remember the story like Crazy Love and another one was yeah. So I think I didn't see the danger there, I would say. Like didn't see like how it is important for me, like oh I need it, you know, like I yeah, I only saw it as like a I I I have God or not, I still live my life. So no big deal, you know. Like I just go to church every week. Since my parents go, okay, I go. Then my parents don't go, then nah, no big deal. Then rest of the days I never think about God. Yeah. Unless when people ask me, oh, what religion are you? Oh, I'm a Christian. I go to church. Yeah, that's it. So yeah.
Yeah. And so when you finally understood the danger of sin and like how much you need God, God's sacrificial love became so big to you that it changes the way you do things. Am I right?
Yeah, you see, right? The thing is also, like, speaking of danger, right? I guess a lot of people today also probably don't recognize the danger. Even like Christians, I would say, like, yeah, a lot of Christians, how many like that even come to church, like they just come because they see God's love as a bonus. Like it's not something that you have to have it, you know. Like they don't recognize how dangerous it is. So if you are still wondering, right, it's okay, you know, if you are still wondering what's the danger, I think it's okay, but I would explain it to you here, you know, like the greatest danger, okay, like we look at the biggest picture of all. So your afterlife, you know, like we always say what, you're on this earth is temporal, and yeah, we all know like we're gonna leave this earth someday. So the greatest danger is if you don't have God, right, how are you so sure that you will enter the kingdom of heaven, or how are you so sure what will happen to you after you leave this earth? Just think about that. I don't know, like thinking about that makes me feel very uncomfortable and feel like I'm in danger. So yeah, like a lot of people don't recognize this, and this is just one, like the biggest picture. And in small areas of life, like I'm pretty sure like if like we put it into our daily life, it definitely like affects how you will think about God. What's your perspective towards God? You know, which is why some people, I guess, like they don't see the importance of, oh, why do I need to pray? Like, why do I need to basically devote my life to God? Right? Yeah.
So I think what Brian is trying to say is like he really understood the danger, and when he knew where he was, the love of God became so much more powerful and so much more real, and we can't live without God. That's just the bottom line. And I think people cannot understand sometimes the love of God because they have an incomplete understanding of love. Like, when I was like not younger, now too, I'm like a hopeless romantic. Like, I'm super into any like love story kind of thing.
Yeah.
Any like, I would stay up late night reading books about romance, and also when I was younger, and then I will watch like K-drama.
Not so much anymore. She watches.
She's fasting Korean drama now.
That is simply, I didn't say
Really?
I'm fasting
Oh.
K-drama, but
Okay, I forgot what she is fasting.
wow. Okay, so what I'm getting to at is that sometimes our understanding of love just stops there. Loving is this guy coming in the rain with an umbrella, which never happens. This love is this guy that's able to flip your phone up and catch it again. If you guys know what I'm saying, you guys know because you watch. But incomplete understanding of love makes it hard for us sometimes to understand what the love of God is. Because many times, love out there is a feeling.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you see like how, I think like you can see from how the world functions today. I think we focus a lot on love is just a feeling, which is why there are always like, you know, people saying, oh, I'm tired of loving. And, you know, like the famous breakup line, I guess, like, oh, I'm tired. I have no feelings for you
No more
anymore.
feel for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, I
So-
mean, we wouldn't come out here and say, oh, everybody shouldn't break up. There are many reasons why people
Yeah,
would break
yeah,
up, and
definitely.
sometimes there are reasons that
They're valid.
They are valid. Yeah, people are not safe, and a relationship should not go on if it's not healthy. But sometimes people do just say, I don't feel anymore.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard too because people go through painful family relationships, and that's how they see love, as hurtful, as not reliable, as conditional. You must be like that, only so I can love you. But that's not God's love. And it's dangerous if we don't fully understand the greatness of God's love, which is relentless, going after us, regardless of where we are at life. And the best is we don't need to earn it. We don't deserve it.
Yeah.
And He loves us. So with like this, like we say God is love, and our response to His love is to love Him back.
Love others.
Yeah. And I think the hardest thing though is, if God truly loves us, why does He allow bad
Suffering.
things?
Bad
Yeah,
things.
suffering that could happen to us. I mean, it is frustrating and it is real that we can say God is a loving God, yet things can happen. And I think Poe and I like chose Brian here today because we're gonna ask you like, what does this question mean to you? Because you have went through some really tough things recently, and how do you feel about the statement that God is a loving God?
So let me tell you guys a bit about my story first, So actually my dad passed away last year during February due to heart attack. So yeah, it was quite tough. Yeah, very tough in fact. Cause I remember like how I just throw back to like the scene, cause he was in the car, then just suddenly then I was in the car also. So I remember like during that time I was a bit shocked, like it suddenly happened. No one expected that, Then I remember the time where like he the people that were, cause it was actually like in front of church only. Yeah, then I remember there were people in church, then they came out to help. Then they carried my dad out first and put my dad beside the road first. Then we called ambulance also. Then when ambulance arrived, they were all trying to do the, what do you call that?
Resuscitation.
Yeah, okay, medical terms. So like during that time, then I was thinking, I somehow like know it in my heart already, like this is probably like, that's it lah, like then I asked God like, okay, so if this is it, then let it be done then it was really tough. In my head I was thinking my dad is gone now, so like in terms of financially, how are we doing? Because like even when my dad was still here, like it wasn't easy also. My house financial wasn't good also. Then now that he's gone, then it's even tougher. And there are things like, like who's gonna be with my mom and all, like who's gonna fetch her all around. Then of course nowadays, like I'm the one fetching her, so actually like the tough part is still ongoing, I would say. Like I still need to be my mom's transporter and all. Basically I need to sacrifice part of my life, I would say, to really pick up an extra role for my family lah. And I had to learn a lot of stuff. I had to learn like paying bills and all this stuff. And because my mom, before this my dad was the one doing all this lah, and my mom wasn't really like, my mom don't really know this kind of technology stuff and all, so I had to do a lot of this. And then it's tough until not like it's the like the job, just thinking like, wow, me losing my dad, then like it was tough. And of course I will miss him, but during that time, like I reminded myself, like God knows better than me, right? Like this thing, I'm quite sure that's Holy Spirit reminded me. Like he just told me like, God knows better than you, and if you think about it, like this is actually better for your dad also. So actually, because even before my dad passed away, like he was very sick already actually, like during the whole year, or in fact more than a year lah, I guess. Then he was sick until the point where, like even when he drives, he will like fall asleep very fast on, like he sit here, like don't even need 1 minute, literally, like he sit here, then he will fall asleep already. And he couldn't even like go upstairs to sleep because he didn't even have the energy to like climb the stairs. So he always sleep in the living room. Then yeah, so like I think it's good also how God ends all these sufferings on this earth for him, right? And then so that he can go back to a better place, more comfortable place with God. So yeah, like this was what I was reminded. Then I was thinking like, yeah, and maybe we won't know also like what is God planning to do. Maybe God is preparing our family for something, and the tough part that we have to accept because it's necessary for God's greater plan to happen. And yeah, like, and after all, I think the most important thing is God is not like a selfish God. Everything God does, he cares for us, right? So his greater plan is definitely like better for us also, which is why he allows this to happen lah. You know, like, yeah, God is like, you know, Doctor Strange you watch in Avengers, you know, like he has seen all the possibilities, and of all the possibilities, he know which one is the best already. Yeah, so yeah, you can put God in that way to help you to better illustrate, because yeah, we might only know like 10 possibilities out of the million possibilities, and God knows all already, right? So which is why, yeah, like I told myself, okay, I'm gonna submit this to God, even though it's very hard, it's tough. I gotta do a lot more things, and yeah, my family, my mom, like, yeah, and my mom, I'm gonna support my mom more, and I will miss him, and yeah, I'm just gonna live the rest of my life without a dad. But again, God is our father also, right? So yeah. Yep. So yeah, I mean, like, seriously though, like that's something that comforted me a lot. You know, some days like when I just really miss my dad, I guess, then yeah, like knowing that there's a father there, that he actually really cares for us also, and that just makes me feel like, you know, like that encouraged me a lot lah, to really like go through tough days. You know, some days I knew fetch my mom this, that, fetch my mom everywhere, then help my mom this, help my mom that. Then in the end I knew come back, do my study, then I have LG stuff, and what this, that, and like stack up everything, then everything is everywhere in the end. Then yeah, that the fact that our God is there for us encouraged me a lot also. Yeah.
Wow. Like, you can't really tell, but we're kind of like smiling because I think we're really proud of Brian, and to be able to say after watching like your father pass away in front of you, and like having for him to go through whatever he's going through, and possibly the whole life there will be tough decisions to make because of something that happened this big in his family, yet he's able to say like, God's plans are better than my plans. I think that's a huge deal, but I think that's out of a realization that the way God loves and the way God's goodness is shown is beyond what we can comprehend.
So for the people listening and watching, even though Brian is talking like in a manner now where he's cool and collected and calm like a cucumber,
Because that's his ability to do so.
but at the time it was, I remember because we were there, and if like nobody knows
It
the
was
situation.
tough.
I would say nobody would know the situation more than me, because I was actually the one
Yeah.
resuscitating him, and I was the one doing the chest compressions.
CPR, yeah.
And at the time, everybody was. Brian is saying like here now, oh yeah lah, you know, Holy Spirit talk to me, yeah, okay, oh that's the way lah, steady, you know. But at the time, everybody was like, his mom was yelling, he was running to BP nearby the church to try and get a doctor. We were trying to call the ambulance and they weren't coming. The police said they need another half an hour before they can come.
Yeah.
So everybody's just panicking, and then like finally we met that nurse next door, so happened, and she came and helped us out. But at the time, and even like a good 1-2 months after that, with trying to settle family finances and how income and stuff is going to come in, everything was very, very messy. And
Yeah.
I remember like you were driving PJ to Puchong like multiple times a day, sometimes to go to the bank, to go to the insurance company, to go to this and that place. And you had to bring your mom and your sisters around to school and stuff. And I remember things were very, very messy at the time. And even like a month later, I do remember there was one time we were sitting down, and then I think you you suddenly cried, and then I ask you what's going on. You say you miss your dad.
Yeah.
So the situation was tough.
And
Yeah.
it's still tough, like I said.
Yeah.
Like there will be
Repercussions are still
things
happening today.
along the way for the whole entire life that they have to live on this earth. The family will
Yeah.
have to make tough decisions because of what have happened. Yeah. So, but so we want whoever that's listening to know that if you had to go through similar things,
We're not downplaying it.
Yeah.
We're not saying like, oh
We-
yeah, trust in God and everything is cool and
Yeah,
steady.
we
and
know-
feelings
I
are
was
all calm.
worried also. If I remember, like what the moment, like after we were on the way to police station, like I asked Poi, like I remember I asked Poi, like, wow, so now how? Like
Yeah, that was the question, right? On the way to the
Yeah.
police station. So
Yeah.
now how? And then we were
Yeah.
stuck because both of us were quiet in the car.
like none of us could answer because we really don't know. We really didn't know what will happen. Like
Yeah.
a lot of things was like what Joy
Suddenly
said, not sorted.
a whole
Yeah.
chain reaction
Yeah.
of stuff had to
Yeah.
take place.
So I think we pay huge respect, and like I really admire people who have to go through like so tough, difficult situations and still stand strong in their faith. Or if they feel like they have deep questions and they feel like they cannot understand God, or like they're struggling in their faith, I respect them too for like just struggling and being honest. And I think the most important thing is to get support, like
Yeah.
to talk it out with people and to get people.
Yes.
I think many times we talked to Brian about it.
Yeah.
And like it really, like I think he would agree, like the support from the church was so
Yeah.
much that it made it
Yeah,
bearable.
like,
Like it made it
In fact, like the reason why it's like like now it's 1 year and a half. Like the reason why like after 1 year and a half, at least now like we started to sort things better. Like it's because like the support that my family have gotten from the church. Like everyone was really willing. Everyone was really willing to help lah. So like the support is always there, but I mean, to be honest, like I remember I had to like convince my mom also to like learn to accept the support. A lot of times we tend to like isolate ourselves when we go through stuff. Then I had to like encourage my mom to learn to open up, to talk to people, and learn to accept people's help. And that's something to learn also lah.
Yeah. So whether it is a death of someone that you love, or just really little things you're going through, but whatever hurt or suffering you're going through, I will really encourage you to like reach out and talk to somebody, and to see the greatness of God's love, so that you don't have a small picture of love that will really danger you from understanding there's so much more out there that God has in store.
Yeah. Like God's love, like when someone truly loves you, like a lot of times we kind of misunderstand how love, like is when someone do something that I like, only that's love. I guess that's what the world tries and imply to us, and that's how the world has been functioning. So that's why like sometimes even like when a simple example that everyone can relate to, I guess, like when your parents like like sometimes they nag you. Of course, like I don't like nagging too. I don't think anyone likes nagging, but that's because they also like they want the best for us. They care for us. So it's something similar, I would say, right?
Yeah, like God's love and the reason He allowed suffering and hurt is like you were saying to me just like that day that He actually mentions that suffering and hurt will happen in this earth, and that's like He allows it to happen for many reasons, more than what three of us can just sit down and list down. But we ourselves have gone through hurts and suffering. At the moment of it, it's frustrating, it's tough, we don't understand why it's happening, maybe we'll never understand. But what we can do is just believe and have faith that God knows better. And it's a simple statement. It's like, easy for you to say, I know, easy for us to say. But our Creator, the one that has made everything, knows better than us. And that's something that I can just trust God and believe that my life, I haven't seen the end of it. I wouldn't know. but the author, the perfecter, the one, the creator, has seen it all and knows it all. And at the toughest moment, I would surrender and accept that this is also his way of loving me. And I know many people have gone through things that we cannot understand, sudden things, but we just want to assure you that God's unconditional love is bigger than you can comprehend, and that to just hold on to his promises, that it doesn't come as we want it to come. And many times it doesn't look like what we want it to look like.
Yeah.
But what God has in plan should be greater than what we want or what we think is best for us. Yeah.
So similar to how you say God's love isn't always shown how in a manner that we want to see it. God choosing to send his son and saying that was his act of love for our sakes. We might not be able to see the whole picture, like, okay, I don't like, that might not be the kind of love that I want to feel, you know. But the Bible tells us that is the sole greatest act of love that God can do for us, to redeem us to himself. Because in a world of pain and suffering, human selfishness very often causes more pain and suffering. And human selfishness usually is the cause of it's both the cause and the effect of us not being who we were created to be. You know, we were created to be in the image of God, but because of sin, because of our own selfish desires, very often we fall short of that image. And the amazing thing is God is the only person who is always who he says he is. But we are very often, in fact, we are very often not who we should be. But having the hope that he gave us his son, that we can be redeemed, that our heart within us, our desires and affections that are so often leaning towards self-preservation and selfishness, God promises that in believing in him, our hearts can be transformed and renewed, that we may be more and more like him, is very comforting, and it is a message of love in a hurting world, actually. And in the many different ways that God has shown love to us, there is a very key importance in him saying that love is both a feeling and an action, because the only way a person can truly understand love, let's say, is if they both receive it and give it out. They feel it and they do it, and they give
no
it
one
out.
can really love without, you can't love without understanding what God's love is, because you have to love through God's love, because we love because he first loved us, you know.
And sometimes that love is a commitment, right? It is a commitment to, well, at times you have to commit to learning to receive it as well, instead of
Just pushing it away.
I think I was talking to somebody the other day, and I was saying about how people tell stories all the time, but sometimes more important than the stories that people tell you are the stories that you tell yourself. Because the stories that you tell yourself about you, about the world, about other people, those are the stories that shape your view and shape how you treat others eventually. But when we can add in the element of God loving people, valuing them enough that he would want to redeem them and reconcile them to himself, our story takes on a different turn, because now we know that we are valued, and not only us, other people also are valued, and so it is worthwhile loving them, you know, because there are people that will push away. There are people that will push away when other people say that they love them for whatever reason, because they've been hurting for so long. But whatever the reason, God affirms that his act, the act of Jesus dying on the cross, is enough. And the good news for us is that it's already done in the past, so we can't change it. But we have the privilege of telling people about it.
Yeah.
And both sharing the gospel and living the gospel to others. Yeah.
Yeah. So love is like a fuzzy feeling and can be like super head over heels, but I think just talking here it's a serious decision.
Yeah.
It's a tough people go through really tough things when you mention about love.
Love is not always easy.
Never.
Well, yeah, no. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
never easy.
I mean,
It's easy when it feels nice.
yeah.
Like
When
when people do nice stuff for you, when your family
Yeah.
members buy you stuff.
It's nice when people have already done it to you and you're doing back to people, but there are times where even loving God is a day-to-day decision to say, you know what? It feels like I don't want to do
So every
this.
second decision, like
Yeah.
the second when you are thinking this, if do you want to, or do I want to follow God? You know, like I can choose.
We could just keep God's love for ourselves and
Yeah,
I don't want to, but
But eventually you get bitter and unhappy and you
but if you
realize that there's not much
truly
meaning.
understand God's love and the extent of his sacrificial love, you wouldn't keep it for yourself because he didn't keep his love for himself. He showed time after time, and even in our own life we can testify that God's love is unconditional. It is for people, and if we truly say we love God, it comes with our actions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Designed in such a way that when you receive, you must give,
yeah.
or else you don't fully receive.
Yeah.
Yep.
You should
So
say that
that's-
again.
Right?
Yeah.
Our love was designed in such a way that when you receive, you must give, or else you can't fully appreciate the magnitude.
Yeah.
Amen.
Oh.
Wow.
It became like now we can like invite the altar call team and the music can come in now.
Musicians.
Musicians. Yeah, but I think that's all for today.
Yep.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Brian, for coming to join us today.
Yeah.
And
Thank you, everyone.
that's all. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Ja.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.